Hi, this is Krista at the Secret Yarnery. Today we're making this treasure map granny square. X marks the spot. Such a great square. It has a traditional granny square in the center, so it's super easy to join up. And you can make it any size you want at all. You just keep repeating the last round until it is the size you want. To make the treasure map granny square, you'll just need yarn, whatever yarn you have going on. Because of the detail in the granny square, I prefer using just a solid color yarn, but you of course can try it with any yarn you have. This is Saver 100 from Ice Yarns. It's just a worsted weight acrylic that I really love working with. It's nice and fluffy and it doesn't split. It's really just handy. I'm using a 6mm hook to go along with my yarn. If you're using a different yarn, just use whatever hook is recommended on the label for that yarn. You'll also need a stitch marker, a needle for sewing in your ends later, and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. You'll start by making a slip knot any which way you normally do. You don't need too much of a tail. We're going to work around it and then cut it off. So just 2 inches is fine. Shrink it down and put it onto your hook. Now chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to go into the very first chain we made. So to count your chains, we don't count what's on our hook and we don't count this little knot that we made right at the very bottom. We just count these V's going up. So there's 1, 2, and 3. We're just going to go into the stitch right on top of the knot. So just push your hook straight into that stitch. So push your hook in. And now we want to get ourselves situated. So flip your hook towards yourself and pull that loop down. Pull that chain 3 towards you so you have a bit of a U shape going on. And you want to make sure your tail is included. I have it just laying beside my U shape. And now I'm holding it open with my finger and thumb. And we're just going to slip stitch. So bring your yarn through both loops and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm still holding that open with my finger and thumb. I want to make sure I'm going into the very center of my chain 3. Wrap your yarn and we're going to make 4 double crochets into the center of that ring. So 4 double crochets. If you're not familiar with your stitches, I'll put a link up in the cards for a tutorial on double crochet to get brushed up on your skills if you're not sure about it. That's 3. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, so that counts as 4 double crochets. So 1 more into the very center. And we are making a lot of stitches into this ring, so try to keep your stitches nice and close to each other. You can pinch your ring and slide those stitches back. You want as much open space in that ring as possible, and just keep holding that tail around the edge. So pull up a loop and take your hook out. I'm going to go into the top of the chain 3. So our very first chain is right down at the bottom here. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Let's push your hook straight into that chain 3. The other way to do it is you can count your stitches going back. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our 4th double crochet. And then right beside it is the top of the chain 3. So we want to push our hook in to the bottom of that chain. We want 1 loop under our hook and 2 loops on top for a nice join. So push your hook into the chain 3, getting 2 loops on the top part of your hook. Put your loop back on your hook, shrink it down. You're going to turn your hook and bring it through that chain stitch. And chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is our very first popcorn. Make sure your stitches are slid back. You have lots of space on your ring. And we're going to do 5 more double crochets into the center of the ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pull a loop up again. You just don't want to pull your yarn out by mistake. And go back into the top of your very first double crochet. So right over here, you can just slide your hook up and you'll see those 2 loops right on top of that post. So I want to go into the top of our very first double crochet we made for this popcorn. Right there. Loop back on your hook, shrink it down, turn your hook. You want it to be the same shape as that stitch, and bring it through. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Slide your stitches back again, and we're going to repeat that 2 more times. We want a total of 4 popcorns. So wrap your yarn and 5 double crochets into the center of the ring. Pull your hook up to make a big loop, and again into your very first double crochet, slide your hook in, loop back onto your hook, bring it through, and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's 3 popcorns. We need to do 1 more. So slide those stitches back so you have space. Keep going over that tail. 5 more double crochets into the center of the ring. To make your popcorn, pull your hook up to make a big loop. Put your hook in to that first double crochet you made. Loop back on your hook, shrink it down, and bring it through. Now this is our last popcorn of this round, so we're going to join now. So instead of chaining 4, we're just going to chain 1. Now into the back of our first popcorn, there is our starting area. It's a bit tricky to see, but you can see where our chain is coming from. If you give that a pull, you'll see there's a little hole here. We're going to be putting our hook straight into that space, and that's where we're going to be joining to. If you follow your chain back, right into that hole. So wrap your yarn, and for this pattern we're going to be joining with a half double crochet. So push your hook in to that space, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off all 3 loops. So that is a chain 1 with a half double crochet to join, and you can see that leaves us in the center of that corner space. We're not too far over to one side. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to make 1 popcorn stitch into that space. So I'm still holding it open with my finger and thumb just so I know where that hook is going, and 4 double crochets because our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. There's 4, so our chain 3 counts. Pull your hook up, take out your hook, and now we're going to go into our chain 3. So I just count my double crochets back. This is my first double crochet that I made. So right beside it, maybe I can get another hook, another needle. This chain right here, that is where we want to go into. So push your hook into the top of the chain 3, 2 strands of that stitch on your hook. Loop back on your hook and bring it through. So just turn your hook to get your hook through nice and smooth, and chain 2. 1, 2. Into the next space we're going to do a corner. So do a popcorn, 5 double crochets, hook up and out, and into the top of the first double crochet, slide your hook in, loop back on your hook, turn your hook and bring it through. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Wrap your yarn and 1 more popcorn into that chain 4 space. So 5 double crochets, hook up and out. And if you just pull your chain, you can see that really helps you open up that first double crochet. So if you give it a little tug, you'll see straight off that there's a nice little spot for your hook on the top of that double crochet. So hook in, loop back on your hook, shrink it down, turn your hook and bring it through. Chain 2. 1, 2. So you'll notice we do a chain 2 in between our corner spaces, or to jump over our popcorn, we do a chain 2, and while we're in the big space, we do a chain 4. So we're jumping over our popcorn now to get into the next space, so we just did a chain 2. Wrap your yarn and a corner into the next space, so 2 popcorns with a chain 4 in between. So hook up and out into the very first double crochet, 2 strands of that stitch on your hook. back on and bring it through. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can slide those stitches back if you need some more space, and one more popcorn. So 5 double crochets, hook up and out and into your very first double crochet. Slide that loop back on, shrink it down, turn your hook and bring it through. Now we're jumping over our popcorn, so chain 2, 1, 2. And into the next space, we're going to do a corner. So we're going to do a popcorn, chain 4, and popcorn into the next space. I'm making my first popcorn. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Slide that popcorn back if you need some more space, and one more popcorn into the same corner. Turn it into a popcorn, so hook out, hook back in, shrink it down, and turn to bring it through. Now we're jumping over our popcorn, so chain 2, 1, 2. And this is where we started. So if you can see, we have a corner, 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 and half of a corner done. So we're going to go in and finish up this round. So 1 popcorn into the next space, hook up and out and into the very first double crochet, loop back on, and chain 1. So we're going to do our half double crochet join again. I'm just going to take my hook out for a sec to show you where we're going to join to. So just follow your chain back, and there is a space. We want to go into that stitch, the stitch that closed our popcorn, just right here. So that's where we're going to be joining to for every round. So kind of pinch that popcorn and tip it up so you can see where you're going. Wrap your yarn and into that space, 2 strands of yarn on your hook from that stitch. And I'm keeping quite a bit of tension. I want to have a nice small half double crochet. So wrap your yarn, bring it through, turn, bring it through, and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So now for the next round, we're going to start doing sides, which is super exciting. So we're going to start the same way, making a popcorn. So 4 double crochets into the same space, because our chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So for every round, we're going to be going into the top of the chain 3, and just be careful. There's always one chain hiding at the very bottom, this little guy. So if you didn't pull that back, it looks like the top of your first double crochet is the top of your chain 3. That's why I just go back. So there's 1, 2, and here is the top of my chain 3, just to the side. So hook in, a loop of yarn back on your hook, and popcorn. So slip stitch to turn it into a popcorn. And we are jumping over a popcorn now. We're finished with our corner, so just do a chain 2. 1, 2. And now we're in our side space. So wrap your yarn. We're going to do 2 double crochets. 1, 2, a chain 1, and 2 more double crochets into this space. So this is going to turn it into the side of our treasure map granny square. Chain 2 to jump over that popcorn. And now into our corner space, we're going to do a corner. Corners are always popcorn, chain 4, and popcorn. So this will be our first popcorn of that corner space. Chain 4. Slide the popcorn back if you need more space for stitches, and 1 more popcorn into that same space. Chain 2, 1, 2, because now we're jumping into our side spot. So for this round, it's a little difficult to see, but just follow along, and for the next rounds, you'll be able to see exactly what you're doing for your pattern. So our side spots are 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. Now to jump into our corner spot, chain 2, 1, 2, got to jump over that popcorn, and into the corner space, we're going to do a corner, so popcorn, chain 4, and popcorn. So pause the video, get that corner done, and I'll meet you as soon as you're done. So just finishing up that popcorn, and jumping over our popcorn to get to our side, chain 2, 1, 2, and now into our side spot, 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. So there's our side, 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. Now to get to our corner, chain 2, 1, 2. Into our corner spot, a corner. So popcorn, chain 4, and popcorn into this corner space. So pause the video and I'll meet you when you've done your popcorn, chain 4, and popcorn into this corner space. Finishing that popcorn, and to jump into our side, chain 2, 1, 2. Our sides, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets into that same spot. Like that. Chain 2 to get to our corner space. So there's a chain 2 before and after our sides, or before and after our corners. And into our corner space, we're going to finish off this corner. So we just need to do 1 popcorn and then join. So 1 popcorn, 5 double crochets. Turn that into a popcorn. Chain 1, and find that spot at the back again where your chain's coming from. We want to just go right beside it. We're going to go straight into that space to do our half double crochet to join. So wrap your yarn, 2 strands of that stitch on your hook. Lots of tension. We want to do a small half double and half double crochet to join. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4 double crochets into that same space. So now we're ready to start round 4, and this is where you'll be learning the pattern. This, from now on, we're doing the repeat. So now you can start putting all that into your head, and you can keep doing this round for as big as you want your squares to be. So 4 double crochets into the same corner space. And remember, our first corner of our round, we'd have to go into that chain. So if you look at your first double crochet and just line it up with your needle or your hook, you want to go into the one beside it. The top of the chain 3 is right over there. 2 strands of that stitch on your hook and popcorn. Chain 2 to get to your side. 1, 2. And if you want to keep track of this popcorn when you're going around, you can just pop a stitch marker right into that corner space, and that'll help you know where your corner is. Now into the next space, just right after that popcorn, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And into the chain 1 spot, so the center of our side, just in the middle here, 3 double crochets. And into the next spot right before the corner, 3 double crochets. So we have 3 shells of 3 double crochets each onto the side, and you can see that it's turning into a side. Now for this round, you can see the differences between the corners and the sides. So now to get to our corner, chain 2. So we're chaining 2 before and after every side. Into our corner, popcorn, chain 4, and popcorn. So pause the video, get your popcorns done, and I will meet you when we continue on the next side. Just finish off that popcorn for your corner. Chain 2, 1, 2, and now we're going to do our side. So we're going to keep going along this side. Every space gets 3 double crochets. There's our first one, second, and before the corner, that's also a space. It gets 3 double crochets, like that. Chain 2 to get to your corner. So into your corner space, popcorn, chain 4, popcorn, chain 2 to get to your side, and into each space along the side, 3 double crochets into each space. So keep going, and I'll meet you when you get back to where we started. Back around to our stitch marker. So chain 2 to get to your corner, We can take that stitch marker out. And into that corner space, do your popcorn. Chain 1, and we're going to half double crochet to join. So if you just pinch that popcorn up, you'll see this spot where we're going to join to. Wrap your yarn, half double crochet to join. Make sure you have 2 strands of that stitch on your hook and some tension. You don't want to do a small half double, and chain 3 to start our next round. And do your popcorn, so 4 double crochets to start. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. So that makes it 5. And you're going to go into the stitch top of the chain 3 or the one right beside your double, whichever way is easier for you to see. Make sure you get 2 strands of that stitch onto your hook and popcorn. Chain 2, 1, 2. And now we're ready to do our sides. So right after the popcorn into this space is our very first shell of 3 double crochets into the very first space. There's our first, and now into each one of these spaces going all the way along. 1 shell of 3 double crochets into each space. And we can go ahead and put that stitch marker back if you want to just make sure you know where we started this round. You can see it's already quite square, so putting a stitch marker there can help you keep track of that space where we're going to join. So for round 5, we're doing 4 shells along each side, and our corners are the same. So chain 2, popcorn, chain 4, popcorn, chain 2 to finish your corner. Keep going around, making 1 shell of 3 double crochets into each space along the side. Chain 2 and popcorn, chain 4, popcorn, chain 2 into your corners, and 1 shell into each space going along the sides. So keep doing that all the way around, and I will meet you when we get to where we joined. So back to where we started this round, chain 2 after that last shell, and popcorn into the corner space. Chain 1, and now find that spot at the back of your popcorn, so just roll that popcorn towards you. Wrap your yarn, 2 strands of that stitch on your hook, and half double crochet to join. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now you can continue making your square as big as you want it to be. I'm going to do 1 more round, same as we did down below. Corners are chain 2, popcorn, chain 4, popcorn, chain 2, and 1 shell of 3 double crochets into each space, making sure I start right after the popcorn all the way along and into the last space before the next popcorn. I'm going to keep doing that all the way around, and I will meet you back for the join. So end of round 6. This is how big I'm going to be making my squares. You can keep going and make it any size you would like. You just keep repeating the same row over and over and over. But I want to show you how to finish off your square, because we will be joining in a different way when we're actually finished. And now we're going to chain 4. So we're just going to pretend it's like a regular corner. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Flip that popcorn up. We're looking for that very same spot. So our chain is right here. We want to go right kind of beside it and down into it. We want to get right underneath that stitch to join, and we want 2 strands of that stitch on our hook. So push your hook in and slip stitch. So bring your yarn back, turn your hook, bring your yarn through, and chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle. Pull it up and snug it down. Now you can cut off this little tail from the very beginning. So there you have it, our treasure map granny square complete. You can make with any yarn, any size, and it is just a really fabulous granny square. I love it, it's my new favorite. Love to see how yours turned out. You can upload them to our Facebook group, the Secret Yarnery Crochet Community. If you're not on social media, you can send me a picture to secretyarnery@gmail.com. So have a super great day and stay hooked.